Good morning or afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another tropical outlook and forecast by Agent Weather Forecast. And as you guessed, this will be another update on now newly named and formed tropical storm Elsa. Now the earliest letter E ever breaking Edwards' record from last year. We have a lot of updates, including cone, location, peak strength overall. We have a lot of updates. So if you are expected to get impacted by this, just like me here in Miami, I recommend you guys watch this video and subscribe to the channel for latest updates, as I'll be doing a second upload later this afternoon, hopefully, if I'm not too busy. As well, be sure to hit that bell icon so you can get notified as soon as I post a video, so you can get the latest information and updates on the advisories. And as well, be sure to smash that like button so I know you guys like videos like these. But without further ado, let's get to the tropical forecast. So here's looking at the National Hurricane Center North Atlantic 5-day tropical weather outlook. And here's looking now at the beautiful named Elsa. This is now a letter E. The thing is, if this formed just 5 hours earlier, this would have been the first letter E before July, but we just missed it about a few hours. But although it did not break that record, it broke Edwards' record from last year. So I forgot to refresh for the 11 a.m. update. So as of the 11 a.m. update, I know it says at 8 a.m., but it's 11 a.m. This thing is now at 45 miles an hour. So it actually was 40 at 4 a.m. and now it's at 45 miles an hour, and it's moving west at 28 miles an hour. So this thing is going to get very, very close to the Windward Islands and Lesser Antilles within the next 24 hours at this rate. It is expected to maybe be 50 miles an hour by landfall for the Windward Islands, so we're watching out for those tropical storm warnings that were just issued overnight. So really watching out for some gusty winds as well as some flooding. Shouldn't be a big threat for those areas. The really big threat we'll be watching out is for the United States, but specifically areas in the Greater Antilles, including Hispaniola, Cuba, and Jamaica. But there you see 1,006 millibars. It's located at 10.1 degrees north and 51.4 degrees west. So it only needs 3 degrees west until recon can fly into this. I believe recon is scheduled for tomorrow, July 2nd. But I'm not 100% sure. But I think I did see something about recon flying in 3 times tomorrow. So we'll get a better look at that. At this rate, by tomorrow, this thing will be getting very close to landfall on the Windward Islands. And yeah, we definitely got a lot of updates though. So let's go ahead and get a look at the new convection IR forecast. So here's the latest now at the latest look at convection for tropical storm Elsa, and boy, does this thing look pretty good. I mean, obviously it looked very, very good last night. I mean, this thing went from a PTC yesterday, actually an invest early in the morning, to PTC, to tropical depression, to tropical storm. So I mean, this thing's been all over the place and it's been jumping convection wise. So let's go ahead and get a look at the convection. We actually did have a few lightning strikes in that main area convection to the northern quadrant. I believe this low is located in this area of very little convection. So this thing is kind of somewhat looks like it's trying to find a new low, and that's kind of looks like where we're seeing that minimal convection and actually maybe going through a diurnal minimum. And that is typical the time frame, like in middle of the day, kind of at this point it is in the middle of the day for this region, this Atlantic time. But we are seeing maybe a diurnal minimum or a relocation of that low. Is typically what you see when that convection starts to die out in a lot of areas, and then it starts to become a new hot spot. There's going to be a new hot spot for convection, and that's where we'll be seeing where that new low could be. But at this point, it's not too shabby. It's a lot better than what it looked like yesterday morning, 24 hours ago, but it's definitely not better looking than when it was earlier last night. So here's looking now at the National Hurricane Center 11 a.m. cone forecast. I know it says 8 a.m., but again, actually no. Here is the 11 a.m. update. There we go. It's actually a little bit iffy. So there we go. So as you do see, we have a lot bigger of a cone, and actually, it goes obviously a little bit further out since is obviously the next day, so this cone's going to go further out. So here's a look at those tropical storm wind fields right there. So it's not that large of a wind field, and you can kind of see it's mainly aimed towards the northern and eastern quadrant, but the southwest quadrant is a little bit more minimal. But there you see there was tropical storm warnings across the Windward Islands and as well portions of the Lesser Antilles, and these tropical storm watches as well stretching out for much of the region. Expecting a landfall by tomorrow morning at around 8 a.m. So really landfalls is within the next 24 hours or so, since it's moving so darn quickly. And then by Friday and Saturday, it's going to be hanging out into portions of the southeastern Caribbean. This will be its best chance to gain its peak strength. This is the main area to watch out for, peak strength. I mean, this is where it's going to have its best chance to get to its peak strength. At this point, the National Hurricane Center has risen that peak to 65 miles an hour, which is a little bit more reasonable, but I think this thing can get very, very close to Category 1 at its peak. But it looks like hurricane's going to be a lot less likely due to it continuing to speed up at 28 miles an hour. So it looks like it's going to be really minimizing its true potential because of the speed, but with the really, really warm ocean heat content. And it will be slowing down ever so slightly once it gets towards the Greater Antilles. It does have its best chance to maybe get to 70 miles an hour or so by the Sunday time frame, which will be July 4th. But it looks like it's going to go just sparing and maybe kind of just riding the coast of Haiti, and it looks like it's going to go right between Haiti and Jamaica, which will help bring in a better reason for this to get a peak strength of 70 miles an hour, because it really won't be touching land for basically a good 72 hours, basically. Actually, maybe like 50 or 60 hours is where it'll have very little land interaction, or before it even gets towards the Greater Antilles. But then the National Hurricane Center wants to have it's getting the southern Cuban coast and then making landfall at around 8 a.m. Monday. So it's going to get very close to Haiti. It may make a landfall. If it does make landfall in East Venezuela, it definitely will have some effects because of those higher elevations and mountains. But overall, it looks like it's going to go just getting the coast of Cuba for a little bit, getting Haiti coast. GFS will have it having a big landfall in Jamaica, so Jamaica can't be ruled out, but just really keeping a close eye on this. And then by Monday and Tuesday, it's going to be heading for areas of Cuba, including Havana, and then heading for the Florida region. Actually, it does have a landfall for Key West. And again, I'm located in Miami right now, and I'm actually going to be in Miami when this passes by Tuesday, which will be July 6th. Obviously, I'm right here in Miami, so I'm really dead center on the cone, but it looks like the looks like the National Hurricane Center wants to have this go a little bit further north. So we're going to be really watching out for areas like Naples, Tampa Bay, Tallahassee, Key West, Homestead, Sarasota. Those general regions, actually, mainly the west coast of Florida, is where we'll be watching out for. Maybe even the Big Bend, and even Orlando is actually going to be a threat here, as this low could very well turn northwest heading to central Florida. So it's funny because Elsa is heading for its creation, Disney. So it looks like it's trying to get revenge. I don't know why else it's getting revenge on Disney, but it wants to get revenge on Disney. So let's here's look at the latest update. So let's get the 11 a.m. So there we have actually, never mind. They did have a peak of 65 miles an hour, but it looks like the 11 a.m. update took it down back to 60. So never mind. But the National Hurricane Center wants to have a landfall near Barbados at 60 miles an hour, but I'm not sure if that's going to be really the case because of how fast it's moving. I think maybe 50 miles an hour is a bit more reasonable, but obviously there is no 55, so if anything, 60 could be possible since there's no 55 miles an hour. If it were a thing, it probably would be 55, but obviously it's not a thing, so it's going to round up to 60. So 60 miles an hour, landfall for Barbados, going to continue at 60 for a while, and then weakening back to 50 miles an hour, probably because of land interaction between the three large Greater Antilles regions, and then making landfall once again at 60 miles an hour for Cuba near Havana, and then going to be at 60 miles an hour by the time it makes landfall on the Key West region. Let's now go and get a look here at the 11 a.m. updates on the warnings and advisories and all that what we have. So here's a look at the tropical storm warnings, including Barbados. So Barbados is going to get hit quite hard, and then you kind of see those the Lesser Antilles region and Windward Islands under those tropical storm warnings. And then we have watches just to the south of Antigua and to the north of Dominicana, and then another watch down there. So the really main area watch out is going to be dead center Barbados. It's going to be heading like this. Let's now go ahead and get a look here at the tracks here. So let's go look at the tracks intensity guidance. Sorry. So here's a look at intensity guidance. So with obviously right now it's at 45 miles an hour. So this is a little bit outdated since it is a 12Z, which comes out before the National Hurricane Center update. So this is a little bit outdated, but they want to have it getting into a pretty strong tropical storm. So even Category 1, a lot of the models, the majority want to get this to a weak Category 1 to a moderate Category 1, maybe 70 miles an hour, 75, sorry, maybe 75 miles an hour, maybe 80 miles an hour. So we're really going to be watching out or monitoring that for sure, because that's basically what these computer models want to have. And then we have the other majority, the other portion having this to more of a high-end tropical storm, the moderate tropical storm. But the majority are taking this to a category 1. So something we have to keep a close eye on, and even GFS and even European as well, getting this to a very, very high-end tropical storm, but GFS is going full out. Here's like the 12Z track. It looks like they have shifted a little back more to the west. We don't have as many getting just to Florida, or at least southern Florida, but it looks like we're seeing a little more of a western trend heading towards like a GFS type track. However, not only are we seeing a western trend, but a southern trend. Look at Jamaica. Jamaica is going to maybe be hit dead on by the system. GFS is trending towards it with the new 12Z GFS, and these tracks as well are trending further south. You can kind of see it's going maybe for those southern Leicester Antilles. So I think that watch down there will be updated to a warning. So it's going to maybe just go south of Barbados instead of dead on Barbados. So there's a pretty big shift. And if it were to do a southern shift, it will be even further away from Hispaniola, giving it a better advantage to become a hurricane or at least 70-mile-an-hour tropical storm, even 65. And they're gonna get, if it were to go again once again south, it will be, if let's just say if this goes south like it's showing, we're gonna be seeing a lot more impacts for areas like Jamaica, dead on for Havana, Cuba, and if it were to go like that, it will most likely spare portions of southern Florida and kind of hit the Big Bend, or even maybe even affect areas like Tallahassee, Gainesville, Florida, but gonna really keep a close eye on that. And then another large area tracks are having it kind of either going to Louisiana for some reason or kind of east of Florida. So these are kind of really off at this point. Let's not go ahead and get a look at the widespread tracks, and you can kind of see, obviously we're seeing the GFS assemble kind of taking this towards National Hurricane type cone, actually getting dead on Jamaica. So if you're in Jamaica, there is an upward trend for you guys to possibly get impacted by this, because there is a southern shift. So even Barbados might get hit, or may just get spared just a little bit, but obviously since it's such a small island, it's going to be very, very hard to really get a good idea. But the majority want to have this, the mean want to have this kind of going toward Jamaica, avoid Hispaniola, and even affect portions of western Cuba and portions of western Florida. The European symbol as well. Here's a look at the European symbol. They want to have it go far, far to the east here, actually taking a big northwestern shift and actually have it dead on in Hispaniola, and even take it towards the Bahamas. So the Europeans taking it a lot further east than any other model, kind of having going up the east coast, like, or up the northern Atlantic, just like that, avoiding Florida completely. So I think the Europeans definitely, I'm not sure about the European. I don't really think that's going to be the case here. Let's not go ahead and get a look here at the weather belt GFS. I believe this is looking at the GFS 12Z update. So here, look at the 12Z update on the GFS. So let me actually like that. There we go. So we can get a better idea. So let's go ahead and look at what the 12Z is showing. So they want to have this getting up to around 1,001 millibars before landfall on the Leicester Antilles within the next 27 hours. And then they want to have it go kaboom between those, within those warm waters after the Leicester Antilles landfall, getting up to 989 millibars within the next 48 hours or so. Then they want to have it just skinning the coast maybe of Haiti at 990 millibars on the morning of July 4th. And they want to have it hit dead on Jamaica. Legit, the low is going right over Jamaica at 992 millibars. So if that were to happen, Jamaica's definitely got to be on the lookout. It's actually refreshed because I think we're about to get the full 12Z right now. So let's go ahead and refresh this, because I think this is a little bit outdated at this point. But yeah, this is what we have so far as of the 12Z GFS, getting it dead on for Jamaica. Let's not go ahead and go to the 6Z, because obviously the 6Z is still not too far, or it's not that old. So the 6Z actually wants to have this go dead on Jamaica as well. So it looks like there's going to be a Jamaica trend. So if you're in Jamaica, I would definitely keep a very, very close eye on this. 986 millibar landfall for Jamaica as a 12Z, and then have it making landfall on western Cuba at 976 millibars. That is definitely basically category 2 winds and pressure. And then they have it hitting the Big Bend of Florida near Gainesville and just that general region at 981 millibars. So it looks like GFS is taking this very, very, very strong. Let's go ahead and zoom in into the Gulf of Mexico so you guys can get a better idea. Actually, let's zoom in towards the Caribbean a little bit so you guys can get a better look. So look at that, making landfall in the Lesser Antilles at around 999 millibars, which is a little bit stronger than what the 12Z is showing. And then they have it kind of skinning the coast of Haiti. Should not have any big impact. They go straight over Jamaica and Kingston, that region. So if you're in Jamaica, definitely keep an eye on that. And then they have it heading dead on Havana. So if this track verifies, we're gonna be seeing a lot more impacts for big areas like Jamaica, Havana, and even gonna be some big impacts for areas like Tallahassee, Savannah, Georgia, Gainesville. So watching out for this track here. Let's go ahead and look at the actual the winds in knots here, so you guys can get a better look at what we're seeing wind wise. This is a look at the 6Z, but we can get a look at the 12Z if we want to. So this is a look now at the 12Z. So 12Z wants to have to be a pretty strong tropical storm, make landfall basically with around 55 knots, which is basically around 60 miles an hour, which is what the National Hurricane Center wants to have. And they have it going strengthening mode at 71 knots, which is basically around 80 miles an hour. So they want to have it to a hurricane rapidly. I don't think the GFS is concerning the speed it's moving. Yeah, then they want to get to up to 85 miles an hour. This thing's going absolutely crazy. It makes landfall right on Jamaica. Let's actually zoom in though, so you guys can get a better idea. So let's actually zoom in into the Caribbean, so you guys can get a better look at what the Caribbean wants to have. So here's a look at the landfall for Lesser Antilles. Obviously, like I did say, around 60 miles an hour, 55 knots. Then they have it going really strengthening, actually. Even Puerto Rico may get some gusts if in that southern region, maybe getting gusts up to 40 miles an hour. As well, going to get overall some pretty good gust for portions of Haiti, because this wind field is going to be at its worst for the northeastern quadrant. So if you're to the northeast of that low, you're going to get hit dead on, especially like Havana, Cuba can get hit quite hard eventually. But let's now go back to the 6Z so we can get a look at what the 6Z wants to show, since they were going crazy for Jamaica. Look at the 6Z for Jamaica, getting up to around a 69 knots, which is basically just under 80 miles an hour. Then we're going to have it dead on for areas like Havana, Cuba, getting it hit basically at around 83 knot hurricane, which is basically very close to a Category 2. I mean, it's getting very close to a Category 2 at that point. Obviously, it's getting there, that kind of low in Category 2 winds. So then look at Florida, getting up to 77 knots there, basically just around 86 miles an hour. And then going really crazy for the Florida Panhandle and Florida Big Bend region. So I think Florida has definitely had to have their eyes really focused on this system, because this is definitely quite interesting here, especially even if you're Jamaica, if you're in areas like the Lesser Antilles. I'm just going to tell you guys to really keep a close eye on this, because we're seeing a lot more updated track, and it looks like there's going to be a southern trend here. So let's look at vorticity. You can see some very, very tight vorticity as it goes into the Lesser Antilles. It's going to be a lot less organized once it makes landfall in the Lesser Antilles, but after the landfall in the Lesser Antilles, it's going to go really crazy organization-wise. It's going to get some very, very tight rotation within the atmosphere. Obviously, all going to be kind of clockwise. And look at the isobars. Look at the isobars, how they're so darn close together. And that's signifying we're seeing very tight and strong rotation in winds here. There it goes straight on for Jamaica. This is actually looking at this is a 12Z update actually. And then the 12Z has it going straight for areas like Western Cuba. So it looks like Havana's got to be on a close eye. It looks like Jamaica's got to be on a close eye. Here, look at the 6Z. 6Z's a lot. The 6Z is just absolutely crazy, going straight down on into Jamaica, right over Havana, and then going straight into portions of Florida. So this is definitely something to get a very, very close eye on.